Let me give you a quick scenario. You're in the best form of your life, whether it be football, basketball, track and field, MMA, or for any sport. You feel like you're at the top of your game and nothing could stop you. Whether it be training or in a game you're playing, everything feels so fluid, but all of a sudden, yes, I think any viewer who plays a sport could relate greatly to this scenario. Injuries are quite one of the biggest possible obstacles that an athlete could face. As unfortunate as it sounds, injuries are one of the greatest reasons for people giving up on their dreams and passion in a sport. Injuries come in all different forms. We have the not so bad injuries that could heal in a couple of weeks or less, and then we have the pretty bad injuries that take weeks or even months to properly heal. And even after that, you have to go through even more weeks or months of physical therapy to get back up to 100%. Finally, we have career-ending injuries. These are the types that I won't even wish on my worst enemy. This could be something like an ACL tear or an Achilles rupture. A lot of the time, if you get an injury like this, your entire sports career could potentially be at risk. Today, I'm going to be talking about the player who I believe a lot of us sports fanatics could relate to. That character is no other than Chigiri, however you pronounce it. Before I talk about how he is relatable, let's talk a little bit about who he actually is. At the start of the first selection, Chigiri was introduced and viewed as a quite mysterious, feminine-looking character. Heavy on the femboy aspect. I mean, so many people thought he was the only girl in Blue Lock, just to find out that he was a Rimuru 2.0. But back to what I was saying, Chigiri was pretty enigmatic. I don't think I used that word correctly at all, but yeah. For basically half of the first selection, he played as a defender, and a pretty useless one at that. It was only before the Team Z versus Team W match that the story really began to delve into the character of Chigiri. Chigiri and Isagi have their first ever conversation on screen, and we learn that Chigiri had torn his ACL about a year ago. As I stated earlier, an ACL tear is quite possibly one of the worst injuries you could possibly get. He was warned that if he had injured himself once again, his football career could be in great danger. Even as he was healed, he still could not perform the way he used to, due to the injury itself as well as fear of re-injury. He expresses how he had the dream, just like Isagi, to become the best striker in the world, but he is too scared of re-injuring himself. The Blue Lock program to Chigiri was used as a means to give up on football. The Team W versus Team Z match kicks off, and we get to know that Chigiri and the highlights players in Team W, the Wanima Bros, were teammates. We fast forward to having the Kuan hat-trick, the betrayal, and the twins then equalizing. The brothers score another, allowing the team to lead. And then when all seems lost, we finally get the sad flashback scene that apparently every anime must have at least one of. We get to see Chigiri before his femboy phase, who is portrayed as a speed merchant type player. With the use of his outstanding speed, he was able to become well noticed in Japan, being talked about in newspapers and magazines. His football career seemed bright, but then all of a sudden, everything that he once had all broken in shambles, all in one moment. We skip more through the flashback and Chigiri begins playing again, but he just can't play as freely as he used to, obviously, because of his fear of re-injuring himself, the fear of losing his identity. Just want to point out something that I realized when writing the script for this video. I have no idea if it's true, but I think because of the depression he had from not being able to play football properly, he probably stopped taking care of himself, and that's the reason that his hair grew so long. It's kinda crazy when you think about it. But back to the point, we move on to Shigiri's breakthrough moment. He sees everyone trying hard to score an equalizing goal in the final minute of the game, and he's wondering why. With just a little motivation from Isagi, just a little, Chigiri begins to create a 5-star meal for us viewers. He breaks his chains and we all know what happens next. I believe the chain breaking symbolizes Chigiri freeing himself of his fear of re-injury as well as holding back his maximum speed. Now, why exactly is Chigiri the most relatable character in Blue Lock? Well, first of all, the entire character of Chigiri as well as his mindset before his breakthrough feels so human-like to me. Compared to characters like Bachira and Baru, who I obviously love, how many of y'all could actually relate to them? Or you have some monster inside of you, or you believe you're the only player on the team playing 1v11. In real life, this is not common at all, but Chigiri is different. Have you ever had an injury that is excruciating and it takes weeks or even months to properly heal? I'm sure at least one viewer has had an injury like this in their lifetime. The crazy thing is that even after being given the okay to be able to play again, the thought of re-injury can most times still flood and haunt the mind. These thoughts could definitely negatively affect our playing. That is exactly how Chigiri felt. Although he was healed physically, mentally he was not. Him being scared about the re-injury just feels so natural. just like how a normal person would think. Just to give y'all a little side story, I do track and field, and I pulled my hamstring like 2 months ago. The crazy thing is, this is the second time it has happened. I remember it happening the first time, and even though it was healed, I was terrified of it happening again. Any little pain I felt in my hamstring would make me cut my training short. It happened again for the second time, and now I'm basically healed, and I'm starting to train again. However, I feel like even if I try to run at 100%, my mind won't allow my body to. With this, I heavily relate to Chigiri and can clearly understand how he feels. Another thing to take into consideration is how Chigiri felt that if he injured himself, he would lose what made him who he was. I honestly think this connects so much to real world people. People who absolutely love a sport and are trying to make it pro, go through sweat, blood, tears, literally putting their souls into the sport. Every second put into that sport would have felt meaningless. To that person, that sport was their passion, their life, the entire reason for waking up every day. Basically, a wide chunk of that person's identity would have just been erased. Unfortunately, this has happened with many prodigies and upcomers in sports. I honestly relate to this because for both times getting injured, I felt devastated. I felt like a huge part of me was missing. Not being able to go to the training that honestly killed me at times felt like a punishment rather than a blessing. I remember being in tears because of this, and I just can't imagine how Chigiri felt because his injury was way worse and impactful than mine. Now, let's talk about the bright side. Change. What did Chigiri do that we could all learn a lesson from? Although he knew that he could potentially never play football again if he got injured again, he let go of that fear by putting everything on the line in order to achieve his dream of becoming the best striker in the world. He broke away from the shackles that were holding his talent back and decided to move forward. If he did get injured again, then so what? I mean, I know there's gonna be that one guy on TikTok clowning him, but yeah, at least he tried and failed rather than giving up completely. Chigiri is a great example of getting back up from your lowest lows. So the quote of the day goes out to anyone who may be suffering with injuries or setbacks in life. Success is determined by how you handle setbacks. Don't make these injuries define you. The same way good things come to an end, the bad will also. I have no idea what I just said, but I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you like and subscribe for more. That's pretty much it, and adios, and see you all in the next one.